Have you ever imagined that the story we were told might be incomplete? What if there were secrets so profound that they were erased from sacred texts, hidden from humanity forever? The Book of Enoch is one of those forbidden mysteries. An ancient account that mentions the existence of the Nephilim, hybrid beings who walked among humans, born from the union of women and the fallen angels. But what if these creatures were not just part of a myth, but evidence that extraterrestrial forces influenced our past? Religions, governments, and academics avoid this subject, but the clues are scattered across various ancient civilizations. The pyramids of Egypt, the Sumerian writings about the Anunnaki, the records of the flood, all point to an invisible line connecting these events. But why doesn't anyone talk about this? The truth was suppressed, considered too dangerous to be known by the general public. However, if we look closely at the past, we can see the clues that were left for those who dare to question. And it doesn't stop there. The Book of Enoch not only reveals what happened but also brings predictions that may change our understanding of humanity's future. What really happened to the giants? What is the connection between these beings and the theories of ancient aliens? And even more shocking, how is Judas' betrayal connected to this millennia-old conspiracy? What you're about to discover may challenge everything you believe to be real. Few ancient texts spark as much curiosity and controversy as the Book of Enoch. Hidden for centuries, this apocryphal manuscript seems to contain secrets that defy traditional narratives. Attributed to the biblical patriarch Enoch, the book describes events that go beyond common understanding, including the fall of the Watchers, angels who defied divine laws and altered the destiny of humanity. Interestingly, its exclusion from the official Bible raises intriguing questions. Why was such a detailed account about the Nephilim, the fallen angels, and their giant descendants hidden? What was there that shouldn't have been revealed? Enoch's narrative does not limit itself to the earthly plane. He claims to have been taken to the heavens to witness unfathomable mysteries, describing encounters with powerful entities and forbidden knowledge. This detail leads many researchers to raise bold hypotheses. Did Enoch have contact with extraterrestrials, the so-called ancient aliens? The idea may seem audacious, but when comparing his accounts with the mythologies of other civilizations, we see impressive parallels. The Sumerians, for example, described the Anunnaki, beings who descended from the heavens and influenced humanity, a coincidence or part of a hidden truth? Moreover, certain passages in the Book of Enoch seem to predict global destruction events, such as the flood, which also appears in the Epic of Gilgamesh and the biblical account of Noah. Could this book be a key piece to understanding cataclysms that reshaped human history? And, more importantly, is part of this knowledge still hidden, kept in inaccessible places or lost in the sands of time? The existence of the Nephilim is one of the most intriguing mysteries of ancient scriptures. The term, often translated as giants, suggests a hybrid lineage, born from the union of the fallen angels and human women. But were they merely genetic aberrations, or evidence of contact with extraterrestrial entities? Some theories suggest that the Watchers mentioned in the Book of Enoch were not spiritual beings but cosmic travelers, a form of ancient aliens who intervened in human evolution. This would explain why the Nephilim possessed superhuman abilities and why their presence was seen as a threat to the natural order of the planet. Accounts of the Nephilim do not appear only in Judeo-Christian tradition. Civilizations like the Sumerians, Egyptians, and even indigenous peoples of America speak of giant gods who descended from the heavens, bringing advanced knowledge. The Sumerian texts talk of the Anunnaki, beings who shaped humanity and, curiously, bear descriptions similar to the Watchers of Enoch. Moreover, some ancient statues and inscriptions depict giant humanoid figures with non-human characteristics. Could these representations be of the Nephilim or evidence of extraterrestrial influence in the past? If this connection is real, it could explain not only the origin of the Nephilim but also the reason for their destruction. The flood, described both in the Bible and the Epic of Gilgamesh, would have been an attempt to erase traces of this forbidden lineage. But were the Nephilim truly eradicated? Or does their influence remain hidden somewhere, waiting to be discovered? The ancient Sumerian civilization, one of the most enigmatic in history, left records that seem to echo the narratives of the Book of Enoch. The Sumerians spoke of the Anunnaki, divine beings who came from the heavens and shaped humanity, a concept surprisingly similar to the Watchers who taught forbidden secrets to men. These texts suggest that the first rulers of Earth had a link with these superior beings, raising an intriguing question: could what we call mythology actually be a disguised account of historical events? The similarities don't stop there. The Sumerian myth of the flood, described in the Epic of Gilgamesh, narrates the destruction of a civilization corrupted by the gods, a direct parallel to the story of Noah's flood. Both in the Book of Enoch and in Sumerian accounts, there is the idea of ancestral knowledge being erased from history. But why? Was it an attempt to prevent humanity from rediscovering forbidden truths about its origins? Is there a hidden truth that was deliberately concealed over the centuries? Another fascinating point is the megalithic architecture scattered around the world. Some of the oldest pyramids, such as those in Mesopotamia and Egypt, exhibit mathematical precision that defies human knowledge of the time. Could this be linked to the Nephilim and the teachings brought by the fallen angels? The connection between Sumerian myths and the Book of Enoch leads us to reflect on what really happened in the early days of humanity, and what may still be hidden in the sands of time. The Book of Enoch may not be in the traditional Bible, but its influence is undeniable. In the writings of the Old Testament, echoes of Enoch's narrative appear in accounts about the Nephilim, the flood, and the rebellious angels. In the New Testament, Jude directly mentions Enoch when speaking of divine judgment, making us wonder, if the early Christians considered this book so relevant, why was it excluded? What was in it that shouldn't have been widely known? In Islam, some ideas from the Book of Enoch also find parallels, especially in the belief that certain angels were punished for interfering in human affairs. Islamic tradition speaks of fallen angels, known as Harut and Marut, who taught sorcery to humanity, a concept almost identical to that of the Watchers. Are these coincidences mere repetitions or clues of a single real story that was fragmented over the centuries? Even in texts outside the Abrahamic religions, elements of the Book of Enoch seem to intertwine with ancient myths. Legends about gods descending from the heavens to guide or punish humanity appear in cultures from Sumeria to pre-Columbian civilizations. Could these stories be remnants of a real event that shaped all of human history? And if so, what else remains hidden, waiting to be rediscovered? The pyramids of Egypt continue to be one of humanity's greatest enigmas. How did a civilization that supposedly didn't have advanced technology manage to build such colossal monuments and align them with astronomical precision? Some theories suggest that the Egyptians received help from advanced beings, perhaps the same ones mentioned in the Book of Enoch as the Watchers. These beings could be the Anunnaki themselves, described in Sumerian tablets as gods who taught humanity. If we look beyond Egypt, we see an intriguing pattern: monumental constructions, aligned with constellations, appearing in different parts of the world. The pyramids of Mexico, the temples of Mesopotamia, and even the ruins of Göbekli Tepe suggest globally shared knowledge. This raises an uncomfortable question: what if the history we know was deliberately edited to hide the presence of these ancient aliens? After all, why does traditional archaeology avoid seriously debating these topics? Some pieces of evidence seem to reinforce this hypothesis. Giant stone blocks cut with almost surgical precision, inexplicable underground passages, and hieroglyphs depicting humanoid figures with non-human features. Additionally, there are records of pharaohs claiming to descend directly from gods who came from the stars. Were they speaking metaphorically or revealing a forgotten truth? If there is a hidden truth about the Nephilim, the Anunnaki, and the Watchers, where is the proof? The answer may be scattered in various archaeological discoveries that challenge the conventional narrative. Elongated skulls found in Peru, giant skeletons buried in the United States, and ancient records mentioning beings of enormous size point to a different history than the one we've learned. In the Book of Enoch itself, there are accounts of how these giants dominated the earth before the flood, leaving traces that still intrigue researchers today. But it's not just the giant bones that raise suspicions. Megalithic structures around the world, like Baalbek, Pumapunku, and Stonehenge, feature stone cut so precise they seem to have been shaped with laser technology. How did ancient peoples achieve this level of precision without sophisticated metal tools? And why do so many cultures describe gods who descended from the heavens and taught secrets of engineering and astronomy? The ancient alien theory suggests that these visitors may have left their mark more literally than we imagine. Moreover, there are ancient texts, often considered mere legends, but which carry surprising information. The Epic of Gilgamesh mentions a hero in search of immortality, something similar to what is described about Enoch, who was supposedly taken to the heavens without passing through death. Could these stories be fragments of real knowledge that was deliberately erased over time? What else may be hidden under layers of sand and historical censorship? If the stories about the giants, the Nephilim, and the fallen angels are real, then why don't we see their presence today? The answer may lie in the flood itself, an event narrated not only in the Bible but also in the Book of Enoch, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and various ancient cultures. Apparently, the flood was not just a natural disaster but an attempt to cleanse the earth of the descendants of the Watchers, who had corrupted humanity with forbidden knowledge. However, if this knowledge was so advanced, was it truly erased or merely hidden? Many theories suggest that, before the flood, there were extremely sophisticated civilizations, some even more advanced than we believe. What if these societies had a deep understanding of astronomy, energy, and technology? Some researchers argue that the survivors of the cataclysm may have preserved this knowledge in coded form in monuments like the pyramids of Egypt or in enigmatic texts like the Book of Enoch. Could these structures be maps to rediscover a forgotten past? The most intriguing part is that archaeologists still find artifacts that seem out of place in time, from metallic spheres dated millions of years ago to ancient Mesopotamian batteries. What else may be hidden beneath the oceans or buried in unexplored locations? Could the secrets of the past be more accessible than we imagine, just waiting to be deciphered? What makes a text sacred for some religions and forbidden for others? The Book of Enoch was rejected by much of Christianity, but its ideas left deep marks on the Christian and Islamic faiths. Many concepts present in the Bible, such as the fall of the fallen angels, the final judgment, and the spiritual struggle against hidden forces, were already described in this ancient manuscript. The idea that superior beings influenced humanity strongly resonates in the accounts of the prophets and even in the Islamic view of the jinn, entities that coexist with us unseen. In the New Testament, we find echoes of the Book of Enoch in passages that speak about the fate of the rebellious angels and the judgment on those who corrupt the earth. For instance, Jude makes a direct reference to Enoch, reinforcing that his message was still circulating among the early Christians. In Islam, some scholars point out that the Watchers have parallels with the fallen angels mentioned in the Quran, who transmitted forbidden knowledge to humanity. This raises an intriguing question: why was this book excluded from official scriptures, but its ideas continued shaping entire religions? Perhaps the answer lies in the very nature of hidden knowledge. What was left out may be even more relevant than what was kept. The idea that superior entities interfered in human destiny continues to be debated by theologians, historians, and even proponents of the ancient astronaut theory. But if these teachings were erased or distorted, what other truths may have been concealed throughout history? The Book of Enoch is not alone. There are other texts considered apocryphal that reveal impressive secrets about human history. The Book of Jubilees, for example, describes in detail the origin of the Nephilim, the giants born from the union of the fallen angels and human women. It also mentions the role of the Watchers, who taught forbidden knowledge to humanity. What stands out is that these ancient writings seem to draw a line between hidden knowledge and the advancement of civilization. Is it a coincidence that ancient cultures, like the Sumerians and Egyptians, developed impressive technologies shortly after these encounters? Another enigmatic text is the Book of Jasher, which expands biblical stories with surprising details. It talks about the construction of the Tower of Babel and mentions kings and civilizations that seem to have been erased from official history. Curiously, this book suggests that certain events of the flood may have been attempts to erase traces of a prior civilization, something that directly connects with theories about the disappearance of advanced societies and the presence of beings from other worlds in antiquity. What these texts conceal may completely change our view of the origin of humanity. If the Anunnaki, the gods of ancient Mesopotamia, had advanced knowledge, where did it come from? Could these ancient records be revealing fragments of a greater truth? And more importantly, if part of this knowledge was deliberately suppressed, what still remains to be discovered? Now that you've seen all these hidden connections, it's hard to look at history the same way, isn't it? The Book of Enoch shows us that there is much more behind traditional accounts. Nephilim, fallen angels, lost civilizations, and even extraterrestrial influences, all of this has been covered up for millennia. But why? What else are they hiding from us? If so many clues were erased, what does this mean for our future? And the big question, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you simply ignore it and stick with the official version, or will you delve deeper, question, and seek the hidden truth? Consider the evidence: Sumerian myths, impossible constructions, references to giants and floods in various cultures. Could all of this just be a coincidence? Or is there a global conspiracy to keep humanity in the dark? If you want to continue exploring these questions and unraveling the mysteries of the Bible and humanity's hidden history, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, you'll always find revelations that few dare to bring to light. But be careful, once you see the truth, there's no going back. Are you ready?